Hey, Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk.
Charlie?
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9,
WORD.
the voice of the Carolinas.
And welcome to the program on your Thursday afternoon. As I know everybody, I don't know what it's been about this week. This has been what it seemed like a very, very long week. I think it was all of that stuff with the possibility of us raining down hellfire on Iran the other night. And then, of course, that died down. Now we may or may not have a peace deal. We may or may not have the Gulf of the Strait of Hormuz being opened. There's a lot of may or may nots going on out there right now. But, again, it's been just what has seemed like a very, very long week. I did hear today, earlier, and I've got no confirmation other than one source that said Trump is going to make an announcement tonight at 6 o'clock. That's the only source I got. One, nothing confirmed from the White House, but we'll see about that. If that does indeed happen at 6 o'clock, we'll certainly bring some of that to you right here on the program. So we'll see. All right. Over in Augusta, Georgia, Sam Burns is the leader in the clubhouse at 5 under at the Masters. Rory McIlroy is in second place right now. He is at 5 under through 15. And there you go. There's the top two at 5 under. Everybody else is around. Everybody else is around 3 under at the Masters. First round of the Masters going on today. Well, you've been hearing about all this stuff about the deal with Iran. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Before we do that, I want to, Charlie, this morning they were talking about the technology that let us know exactly where the pilot was. I was going to read about it, but I can't remember the name. Can you give me any help here? Yes, I can. It's called the Ghost Murmur. Ghost Murmur. Where they can pick up. I mean, just think about this technology. Just think about this technology for a second. They can detect a heartbeat within miles. Miles. Now, other than somebody isolated alone in the desert, in the mountainous region of the desert, I don't know how, maybe it'd be good, if there's like, you're about to go into a house and you don't know if anybody is in the house. You can kind of aim this thing at the house and let you know if there's a person in there. Maybe it is only for search and rescue or things like that. I don't know how you would use it in a city, crowded city or anything like that, but it is absolutely amazing technology. Charlie, good afternoon. With Iran having no weapons, supposedly, how are they controlling the Strait of Hormuz? Well, we talked about that yesterday with the next Special Forces agent, and it's the threat. Okay. So we have defeated their Air Force, we've defeated their Navy, and we have defeated their military. Okay. Now, that does not mean they still don't have some weapons out there, right? There's still going to be little rogue bands of folks. And remember, the Strait of Hormuz, that's a pretty big area, all right? Just the threat. Now, here's what's going on. Let's say you're the captain of an oil tanker. And there's even, hold on. So you're captain of an oil tanker. Hey, you want to go through the Strait of Hormuz? No, I don't. I don't want to go. Are they still threatening to blow up our tankers? Yes. No, I'm not going. So it's the threat that is controlling the Strait of Hormuz right now. And not only that, you have to look at Lloyd's of London. Lloyd's of London is basically, they've got a monopoly on all of the maritime insurance throughout the globe. Anybody, if you've got a cargo ship, if you've got an oil tanker, if you've got a liquid natural gas tanker, whatever it is, if you haul something on the ocean, you, just like when you go out in your car, you got to have insurance. You got to have insurance. Lloyd's of London canceled all of the maritime war insurance. Now, this is the first time they've ever done that, by the way. They've never done this before. Usually they just raise your premiums, kind of like your insurance company does. But this time they just said, nope, we're canceling all of them. So because of that, that is one of the biggest reasons this whole thing started with shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, because if you don't have insurance, your propellers don't turn. That's just one of those facts of life that you got to deal with. Supposedly, if you don't have insurance, you're not supposed to drive your car, but we all know this is South Carolina and people do it anyway. Let's go to Dean in Cashville. Dean, welcome.
Hello, Charlie.
Hello.
I just wanted to chime in and say, everybody, Charlie is right. It takes 0 minds to create a minefield.
Yeah.
Per General Schwarzkopf. And the threat, if a mine is on the bottom of, say, the Persian Gulf, and it goes off, it can create a bubble of water that then will lift the ship out of the water to a degree that it breaks the back of the ship. Basically, it's what happened to the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is why Charlie is right. Thank you for what you do, Charlie.
I appreciate
Everybody
it.
needs to listen.
I appreciate you, Dean. Thank you very, very much. So yeah, I mean, that's the main reason. Without insurance, you don't move. But again, President Trump's supposed to be giving a speech tonight. But the point I was getting to with that whole thing was that the talking points that the mainstream media has been putting out there about those 10 Iranians, those aren't the deal. This is from CNN.
The Iranians are trying to put out disinformation already. And yesterday we reported on a 10-point plan, and I'm told by a U.S. official that was actually an old plan that the Iranians put out because they wanted people to talk about it and try to put their perspective forward. And so we are correcting that today, and we spoke with U.S. officials yesterday who said that is not the latest plan. There is an updated plan that the president agreed to, and despite these efforts by the Iranian regime to try to spin negotiators, this will be incredibly consequential this weekend to see whether or not they are serious about creating a good faith deal.
Yeah, it is going to be a very interesting weekend in the Middle East. We'll find out what happens. One of the things that is it's starting to scare me a little bit, because you've got Republicans out there, so-called conservative Republicans, who are now getting very, very squishy on amnesty. Some of them actually calling for amnesty. We'll have that story for you when we get back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of breaking news and stimulating talk begins every hour on The Charlie James Show. Afternoons 3 to 7 on News Talk 98.9.
WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Chat with Charlie.
800-905-0989. Save it on your phone.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Do you think if any Republican anywhere in the United States, any Republican aired a commercial or put up a sign or a banner or put out on social media, I'm a conservative Republican and I believe that we need to have an amnesty program. Do you think any of those so-called conservative Republicans would be elected? Or would they have lost in the primary? Absolutely, 100%. That is a losing issue every single time with the Republicans. But that doesn't stop the ones that are in office for going for amnesty. And that's what the Dignidad Act, and that's literally what it's called, just to kind of rub salt in the wound. They're calling an amnesty bill by its Spanish name, Dignidad. We got to have Dignidad. Here is so-called Republican Representative Maria Salazar of Florida.
We give them dignity. At some point in the future, another legislator will write another law to give them path to citizenship. Right now, what we need to do is to buy peace for these people, allow them to stay, to continue working, because they are needed. You see, what I'm trying to do is to bring some common sense, which is the least common of all senses, to this conversation. The economy needs them. They do not have a criminal record. They have not gone into trouble. They have been here for a long time. They have roots in the country. Let them stay. Don't give them any type of federal programs. And allow them to pay taxes, help the Social Security Fund, and let them stay and contribute with the economy with no criminal record. What is wrong with that?
What is wrong with that is the way that they got here was illegal. Representative Salazar. The first act they committed on American soil was to break the law. That was number one. Numero uno. For those of you in Rio Linda, with great respect to Rush Limbaugh. That's number one. It's the number one thing they did, break the law. And here's the thing. They knew they were breaking the law when they came in. They were certain of it. Because you see, you don't have to sneak somewhere that you're allowed to go. Have you ever noticed that? You don't have to sneak on to, you don't have to sneak into Viva Taco when it's open. You don't have to sneak in. But when you break the window at night and you crawl in, that's the difference. You know you're breaking the law. And they knew they were breaking the law. They were absolutely positive of it when it happened. And then, as if that's not bad enough, listen to this. This is Byron Donalds. This is Byron Donalds, who's running for governor of Florida, and Trump has endorsed him for now, I would imagine.
Modernize a lot of these different visa programs. Do all that work. Do it. Get it done. And I think the American people, whether you're liberal or conservative, will say, okay, now that our immigration system is sound and modernized and we've secured our country, now let's take a look at the people who are here illegally. And I think the American people, we're great people. We're a good people. We're a beneficent people. And with those people who are here working hard, doing those things that they should be doing is just as good neighbors and good people, we would make them and put them on this pathway to citizenship. But I think the pathway to actually fixing immigration in our country is possible, but we have to have honest conversations with ourselves. We got to have honest brokers, frankly, on both sides of the aisle, because we can come to a solution that actually respects citizenship in our country and actually creates a stable, legal immigration.
But it doesn't. You know what it does? It waters down citizenship. It means that being an American citizen has no meaning whatsoever. There's just nothing special about it. You want to overhaul the visa system here in this country? All right, fine. Let's take a look at that. Let's see what that looks like. But the people that came here illegally, they need to go. Sorry. You know what? Get them out. Get some visa holders coming in, just like you're talking about, and I'm sure there'll be plenty to take their place. Get some people that come here legally to take those jobs. That's a good idea for me. Well, Chip Roy is not having any of that foolishness whatsoever.
This is the radical Democratic Party that are more interested in playing politics and trying to focus on protecting those who want to endanger Americans than standing with an administration and the president and Secretary Noem who want to secure Americans. So you asked me about the PAUSE Act. The fact of the matter is we have 51.5 million people in this country who are foreign born. That's about 16% of the population. That's higher than at any other point in our history. So go back to 1920, where we had maybe a similar percentage. It was about 15%. And we had a whole bunch of people who had come here who, by the way, were more interested in assimilating, who were participating in schools that actually taught that America's great, and when we had no social welfare state. Today, we have millions of people who have come here who don't want to assimilate, who aren't in schools teaching that America's great, and they are on the social welfare state. We need to pause immigration. We need to fix our system. We need to end diversity visas, end chain migration, the kind of people that allow their cousins and uncles and aunts to come in. We need to stop the abuse of H-1B visas. We need to end birthright citizenship. We need to codify what the president has done. We need to stop having taxpayer funding of illegal alien children in our schools, as we do in Texas and everywhere else. And we've got to recenter our entire immigration system. So,
and he's absolutely right. So instead of the so-called Dignidad Act, hold on, what was the word? What is the Spanish word for pause? Let me just look that up. Let's see. Spanish word for pause. Let me see. We need the PAUSA. Well, that was easy. We need the PAUSA Act. Instead of Dignidad, we need PAUSA. Right? So, pause it. Stop it. And here's the thing. Here's what's killing me. All these people say we need to fix our immigration system. We need to wait a minute, hold on. What is weird is nobody has told me in very concise, specific terms exactly what is wrong with our immigration system. I mean, the one where people come here legally. What is wrong with that system? That's what I would like to know. Oh, we got to do something about our immigration system. Why? No, what we need to do is enforce it. We need to enforce the laws of our immigration system. The immigration system, it's like when people say, oh, we got to do so, we've got a health care problem. We don't have a health care problem in this country. We don't know. We don't have a health care problem. You want health care, you get it. You can get it. We've got an insurance problem in this country. We got a problem with who everybody wants to pay for health care. That's the problem. We don't have a health care problem. We don't have an immigration system problem. The problem we have is that people that abuse it, they take advantage of it, and they outright circumvent it. That's the only real problem that we have here in the U.S. So nobody's told me, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? When you say you're going to fix the immigration system, what exactly are you going to do? Charlie, you mean I can rob a bank and keep the money? Oh, apparently so. Because you know why? You're a good citizen. Let's not even say a bank. But let's say 5 years ago, you went into a 7-Eleven and you robbed a 7-Eleven. Now, you only got a couple of $100 and, a couple of Snickers bars, but still you robbed a 7-Eleven 5 years ago. You haven't done anything in 5 years. You've been a model citizen. Is you still a criminal? Yeah, you are. Charlie, any act with a foreign title doesn't need to be in our code of laws. You are exactly right. Charlie, we don't need the illegals to prop up Social Security systems. Here's what we need. And thank you so much for saying that, 659. Thank you so much. You know what we need to fix Social Security? We need to get all the people who are defrauding it off the Social Security rolls. If we could do that, if we could eliminate all the fraud in the Social Security system and in the Medicare system and in the welfare system and in every other system that the government's involved in, if we could eliminate the fraud, there would be plenty of money for the people who actually deserve it. But Democrats and some Republicans don't like that kind of talk, do they? Charlie, we need to uphold the law. Yes. Charlie, is you speaking any English? Maybe so. Maybe. I'm still learning. I'm still learning English. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of nonstop breaking news and stimulating talk jumpstarts every hour on the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9
WORD.
the voice of the Carolinas.
better act on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. Text or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, let's go to Jeff in Easley. He wants to talk about Byron Donalds. Jeff, welcome.
Are you for real? He said that he was going to vote for that amnesty bill.
Didn't say that he didn't say that in that interview that he was going to vote for that amnesty bill, but it was. I mean, he was using the same language that was in the Dignity Act. Yeah, sounds like it.
Trump and DeSantis know what's coming out of his mouth. I've lost anything I've had for him since he said that.
That's crazy, isn't it? I mean, you would think. I mean, this was like the guy. Everybody's like, he's the heir apparent to the governor's seat there in Florida. Maybe not anymore. Maybe that plays in Florida, but it surely don't play in South Carolina, Jeff. I understand your feelings, man. I appreciate it. DeCarlos Brown Jr. was released on cashless bond, got on the light rail system in Charlotte, North Carolina. During that time that he was on that light rail, he stood up and he stabbed Irina Zarutska to death in cold blood. In cold blood. And then it is reported that he was heard leaving the light rail car saying, "I got that white B word." He has been found incompetent to stand trial. Incompetent. Now, let's just lay this out here. Competent, 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 competent. 14 times he was found competent to stand trial. 14 times in his 14 arrests, including 3 felony convictions, DeCarlos Brown Jr. was found competent. But all of a sudden, when he stands up and he stabs this young woman in the neck in that horrible video that everybody saw, now he's not competent to stand trial. He's got schizophrenia. So this whole trial has just been put on pause. It's not good. Listen, it's not going anywhere. Now, I don't know what's going to happen to DeCarlos Brown Jr. I don't know what his incarceration status is going to be. But according to a motion filed on April the 7th, he was evaluated December the 9th at Central Regional Hospital. And the report determined he was not competent to stand trial. How about that? Prosecutors didn't object to the requested 180-day delay of Brown's Rule 24 hearing, which was scheduled for April 30th, which will be determined whether he's fit to proceed with a potential death penalty trial. Brown's also facing federal charges, and he will remain in custody on that case. A judge must now determine whether to accept the report's finding, and the case against him will likely be delayed until his capacity is determined. So the state, I said, no, he's incompetent. Hopefully the feds are going to do something about this. Because if not, this dude just got away with murder. Public. On video. Murder of a young woman. Now, we talk about our immigration system being broken. We talk about our healthcare system being broken. We talk about this being broken and that being broken. What is really broken in this country is our judicial system. It is completely broken. All of those young women that were killed by illegal aliens, Laken Riley, the Nungaray, the young Nungaray girl, and so many others. Because these people were let out on no cash bond. What is that? You know what no cash bond used to be? It's called being released on your own recognizance. As if somebody really wasn't a threat to society. You know, you jaywalk, you do something like that, and they go, all right, you're under arrest, but I'm going to release you on your own recognizance. You be good now. Okay, fine, I'll show up. Yeah. That's basically what they do when you get a ticket. They release you on your own recognizance. All right, now you be careful and don't speed. Those are supposed to be only for, low-ranking infractions, not violent crime. But lately, these liberal judges, they have really gone on no cash bail. Literally, you commit a crime, you go to jail, you sign your name, you leave. No cash bail is merely an inconvenience to these criminals. That's all it is. Man, I ain't got time to go, I got crime to commit. What, are you kidding me? I got to get out there and do some more crimes. All right, here you go. I'll sign the paper. Off to do crime again. That's the system that is broken. And it's broken at so many levels. So many levels. We've got judges out there that are making rulings in things that I don't even think they have the authority to rule on. I'll give a perfect example. And we'll talk about this a little bit more in the program. But a judge is blocking the removal of funds from Planned Parenthood. Okay, hold on. Somebody show me in the Constitution where it says we have to fund abortion providers. Is it just somebody show me somewhere in the Constitution where it says we have to? But these judges come in and they go, nope, you did it once, you got to do it again. That's why you always have to be careful what you do the first time. If you decide to do something the first time, then it becomes an entitlement and people are going to feel like they get to do it for the rest of their lives. So, I mean, that's where we are now. That's how we got here with immigration. Reagan allowed 3 million. He had a deal. He had a deal with the Democrats. All right, we're going to let these people in. We're going to give them, temporary status. But after that, we're not going to. Well, they went back on that as well. Pretty unbelievable. Let's go to Joseph in Mills River. Wants to talk about Medicare. Joseph, welcome.
Hey, nice talking to you, Charlie.
Yes,
this
sir.
is my first time on the show. But
First-time caller. Hold on. You ain't but Joseph. You cannot skip the bell. There you go. There you go. What's up, man?
Well, I always get these phone calls throughout the day, and it's annoying because it's spoof numbers. And I started answering just to pick on them.
Yeah.
And I'd be saying something like, okay, you're Somali and you're trying to sell me welfare.
Yeah.
Dude, get this junk up.
Yeah.
Well, it's so funny. I made one so mad because I really do dig into them pretty bad.
Yeah.
I'd be talking about oatmeals and bananas. I forget that one chick did that on national news. That was funny.
Yeah.
But he turned around and said, who's the big joke? We foreigners pretty much have power in just about everything now. We're ripping y'all off, and y'all can't do jack about it.
Yeah.
Y'all pass another legislation, and we'll still stick it to you every chance we get. I was
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah.
He was like, touche. So we'll keep calling because there's plenty of idiots out there. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
No, that's what they count on, Joseph. You're exactly right. I appreciate it, buddy. Let's go to Tommy in Spartanburg. Tommy, what's on your mind?
Yeah, just got a quick comment. This
Yeah.
guy in Charlotte,
Yeah.
if you have the mental acuity to stand up, pull out a knife, stab somebody, and then comment about it on the way back, that's premeditated. I don't care which way you slice it.
Yeah. I agree. He didn't stand up. He wasn't talking to voices. He just did it.
I tell you this, if they decide to cut this joker loose, you let me know where and when they're going to do it.
I'll bet there'll be a big crowd that day.
Back in the mid to late 80s, there was a movie with Michael Douglas called The Star Chamber.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem creating another star chamber.
All right. There you go, Tommy. I appreciate it. Got to take a quick break here. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
When he's not mowing his yard, he's mowing down liberal nonsense. It's the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9
WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie Speaks. You listen on your time. Get the show on demand. Text podcast to 800-905-0989. The Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, so we got that. Oh, by the way, I apologize. This bonehead didn't take his allergy medicine until about noon today, and that's way too late. I mean, by then I'm already affected, so kind of forgot about that. My wife was doing some stuff this morning. It's a little hectic, so forgot. And then about noon, I said, "Oh, I need to take my allergy medicine," and God, I couldn't even imagine going without it. Literally couldn't. It would just be a disaster. So anyway, we got that whole Dignity Act. We've got the whole birthright citizenship. We got all these things with these illegal aliens, or just whatever you want to call them, coming here. And here's what really gets me. Because some people, if you were to invite someone who was down and out, they were destitute, they didn't have, two sticks to rub together, and you invite them into your home. And when they come into your home, they start complaining. I mean, this is just somebody who's sleeping on the streets. All of a sudden, the bed's too lumpy. All of a sudden, they don't like memory foam pillows. They want down pillows. Oh, no. Oh, we got to have, no, you got to have, we don't have quilted toilet paper. What's the matter with you? The food isn't good enough. It's got to be this or that or the other thing. And they just start making all of these demands. Well, would you just say, "Oh, I understand. Oh, Charlie, it's just their culture." Oh, is it really? Is it really? It was a guy in Ontario, California. He was here because of birthright citizenship. And because he didn't think, now you got to remember, this guy came from the Middle East. Literally, I mean, his parents did. So this warehouse, Kimberly-Clark, at their warehouse in Ontario, California, gave him a job, but he didn't think they were paying him enough. So what did he do? He set the place on fire. 1.2 million square feet burned. 1.2 million square foot warehouse on fire because this guy decided he wasn't getting enough. He deserved more. So if he couldn't have more, and guess what? Here's the kicker. He filmed himself doing it. Brilliant. Brilliant. His parents were illegal aliens. He was born here. So therefore, he's an American citizen. But still decided that he deserved more. It's that concept of deserving something that really a lot of people like me can't understand. The difference between my generation, and I will say this as a matter of fact, the difference between my generation and the generations before me, they knew one thing perfect, and we still know it to this day. You can do everything right. You can play by the book. You can do everything correctly, and sometimes you will still fail. And at that point, you got to pull yourself up and you got to start over. Generations after me, they've got this I deserve mentality. I deserve this. Oh, I got to wait a minute. When I played Little League Baseball, I was the worst player on the team and I still got a trophy. I deserve a trophy because I participated. And because I participated, I should get what everybody else got. They haven't learned the lesson. They really haven't learned the lesson. They think they deserve what they truly haven't earned. Where generations before them, well, we realize that's just not the way the world works, right? When we get back, some states are actually enacting the SAVE Act. What's Congress going to do? We'll tell you about it. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Streaming stimulating talk and breaking news on your phone 24/7 on the Odyssey app. You're on the drive with the Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Hey, Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk. Charlie. Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
America is back.
Yes, sir. And we are. Let's go to Bo over in Kings Mountain. How you doing, Bo?
Yeah, I'm doing good there, Charlie. How about you?
I'm great. What's up, man?
Yeah, hey, man, on this immigration stuff you're talking about, okay, well, my wife is from the Philippines, and she's been here since last May.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong in the process or whatever. I think it just takes a little too long. But now we got her 15-year-old daughter that's coming.
Right.
All right, and I didn't do it at the same time, because the daughter at the time, she didn't know if she wanted to come or not.
Okay.
And that's understandable. She's changing her whole world. So
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. He's 15. That's got to be hard.
yeah, well, it was 12 at that time.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But she's 15 now.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so a couple months after her mom was here, okay, I want to come. Okay, so we done the paperwork. Everything's good. She had her interview on February the 26th of this year. She passed her interview. She is approved and all that. All they got to do is issue the visa so we can bring her home.
Right.
It's been since February the 26th. Still haven't got a visa. All they got to do is mail it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing on my wife. She had her visa in less than 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
This is her daughter. Yes.
Wow.
This is her daughter. Okay. Why is it taking so long for a 15-year-old kid to get her visa so she can be here with her mom?
Yeah, I mean, as good as I do, whenever you're dealing with the government, it's always a pain.
Exactly.
Here's what I want you to do, Bo. Can you send me an email? Send me an email.
Oh, yes, sir. I can do that.
Charlie at 989 WORD at 989WORD.com. That's Charlie at 989WORD.com. Let me see if I can get you a little help on that.
Well, that's why I called, because I've called our representatives.
Yeah.
Graham, Scott, all of them, Norman. Nobody, their assistants is the ones that does everything.
Yeah.
All they will do is send an email asking the status. Hell, I can look the status up in a minute and tell you what it is.
Yeah. Do me a favor.
It's been since February 26th.
When you send me that email, give me kind of a rough estimate of where you live as well. Okay. Let's see. Sometimes it's not that you call, it's who calls. Let me see what I can do. I appreciate it, Bo. Thank you very much, buddy. We'll see what we can do for you about that. All right. The SAVE Act. We still don't have it. Chances are we're never going to get it on the federal level. Chances are that's what we're looking at. We're not going to, especially under John Thune. So here's John Thune. He's playing all of this failure theater. We're not going to be able to get it through. Oh, if it weren't for the filibuster, we would be able to get it through. Well, do away with the filibuster. I don't know if you know this, but the likelihood of the Democrats winning both the House and the Senate, according to Polymarket, are about 53%. The odds are better than half that the Democrats not only are going to gain a majority in the House, they're going to gain a majority in the Senate as well. So literally, we have got until November, literally, to pass the Save America Act. Because after that, nobody, if you've got a lame duck Congress, nobody's going to get that passed. You're not going to get that passed. So John Thune, he's going to have to get out there and he's going to have to try to explain to the American people, and he won't be able to. You won't be able to get this passed. No, here's Lindsey Graham saying, we're going to get it passed through reconciliation. No, you're not. No. Elizabeth McDonough, the Senate parliamentarian, she's not going to allow that. That's not going to pass muster. You can forget it. What John Thune needs to do, and what Lindsey Graham needs to be shouting from the rooftops, is do away with the filibuster. The Democrats are going to, you know when the Democrats are going to do that? The day they're sworn in as the majority. First thing they're going to do in the Senate, they're going to pick a leader. That's going to be Chuck Schumer. And the first thing Chuck Schumer is going to do is he's going to do away with the filibuster. Now, they know that a lot of their legislation is not going to pass because Trump is going to veto it, but they're still going to do it. And then they're going to call Trump an obstructionist. We even had George Conway, that clip from George Conway yesterday. George Conway, who is also running for the Senate, the Senate, he said that when the Democrats take control of the Senate, they will have no problem bending the rules of the Senate. But yet, here you got John Thune doing all of this. Now, there are four states that have sort of like the Save America Act. Florida does, Mississippi does, South Dakota does, and Utah does. And wait. Hold on, wait. Where's South Carolina? We don't have our version of the Save America Act? No, we do not. Now, we do require ID for you to vote. But what we don't require is for proof of citizenship when you register to vote. Anybody think that's a coinkydink? No, because we've got a rabidly liberal state legislature. So time is literally running out. John Thune is not going to be the Senate Majority Leader much longer. And it's not because he's going to be voted out by the Republicans. Because he's going to be replaced by a Democrat. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of breaking news and stimulating talk begins every hour, every afternoon on the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Let your fingers do the talking.
Text the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line at 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Will we withdraw from NATO? You know, when times are hard, you find out who your friends are, but more importantly, you find out who they aren't. They're the ones that disappear when the going gets tough. Now, when they need something, they always come to you, right? They always come to you. But when you need something, all of a sudden, they're not available. Man, I figured that out quickly in life. They always come to you when something needs, they need something, they need help, or they've got a problem. But when you've got one and you go to them, they're gone. The ghost in the wind. They're out of here. And that's what NATO has done to us. When we started making sure that Iran could not have nuclear weapons, NATO, they were like, we don't even know you. We don't even know you. Even Rutte said today that said that the NATO response has been lackadaisical at best. At best, how about non-existent? It's literally been non-existent. So diplomatic sources are telling Reuters that NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte told European governments that Trump wants a commitment to participate in guarding the Strait of Hormuz in the coming days. A commitment. And he's talking about withdrawing from NATO. Now, you got to understand, look at these two major global organizations, the United Nations. They're broke. They got no money. The United States is the one that is bolstering that organization. NATO, they're broke too. They depend on our money. If we were to pull out of NATO, they wouldn't be able to defend a bad case of gas. That's the truth. So President Trump is discussing withdrawing the U.S. from NATO. He talked about it with Rutte. Here is Pamela Evatt. Pamela Evatt. Yeah. No, she is not the White House secretary. Here we go.
Is the United States still considering withdrawing from NATO? Is that still a possibility?
It's something the president has discussed, and I think it's something the president will be discussing in a couple of hours with Secretary General Rutte, and perhaps you'll hear directly from the president following that meeting later this afternoon. Thank you.
Now, that might be, and by the way, that was Caroline Leavitt, not Pamela Evatt. Sorry about that. That might be the comment that I heard earlier that President Trump was going to be making some comments tonight at 6 o'clock. He might be with Rutte when they do that. I don't know. But NATO, if we're a member of NATO, they got to step up. Because the Strait of Hormuz, that doesn't just benefit us. In fact, quite the opposite. It directly benefits us less than everybody else. But once again, they want us to defend it. As long as Iran has the opportunity to make threats like they have made with mines, with missiles, with those fast boats that they have, then the Strait of Hormuz is not safe. And like the saying goes, you don't need mines to have a minefield. All you have to do is plant the seed that there are mines. We say, hey, that's a minefield right there. You want to cross it? No. That's all you got to do is just make the threat of a minefield and everything stops. And that's what's happened in the Strait of Hormuz. So NATO needs to do something because other countries, they benefit a heck of a lot more than we do. Maybe that's going to be what President Trump talks about tonight, if that's even happening. I don't know. We were talking about John Thune a minute ago not being the Senate Majority Leader. Charlie, that's not going to bother John Thune being replaced by a Democrat. Unfortunately, win-win for him and the Democrats. Yes, exactly. Let me ask you something. I mean, if you look right now, with the way our Senate is acting, and our Congress, do you think if we get to that 60-day threshold, which, by the way, I don't think we're going to get there. I do not believe we're going to get to 60 days. I believe that Iran is going to go back on these peace negotiations. They're going to go back on the ceasefire, and Donald Trump's going to go over there and take care of business. At least if they do that, that's exactly what I hope he does. But do you think our Congress right now has the intestinal fortitude to give him the go-ahead to continue? No, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Oh, no. Oh, bombing civilians. Nothing operates in Iran without the IRGC's permission. Now, those oil refineries and those oil factories and all of that, they may be owned by private companies, but they're there with the permission of Iran. It's kind of like China. China does allow a certain amount of capitalism in China, as long as it's controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. It's the same way in Iran. So while Aramco may own a refinery in Iran, Iran controls the refinery. You see the difference there? Because I said that the other night, and somebody was on the text line saying, oh, no, Charlie, these are all privately owned. Yeah, okay, whatever. But who is controlling them? That's the IRGC. That's the Iranian regime. So while they may be privately owned, they're controlled by them. And that's who's really going to. So anyway, people talk about, we're not waging war on civilians. It was Iran that decided to put civilians in the way. They were the ones that were calling for women and children to go to these power facilities and put a human chain around them. Now, that is indeed a war crime. Charlie, why all of a sudden are people who want zero USA involvement in foreign wars against Trump bringing our soldiers home and getting out of NATO? That's a good question. It's a good question. Charlie, I don't think the ceasefire will hold through the weekend. You might be right. You might be right about that. Charlie, we should get out of NATO. And I'm not going to say I'm not going to say what you said. Hey, Charlie, they're the modern day mafia. Yeah, that is. It's a nice oil refinery here. Shame something happened to it. That's the way they act. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Levin. Join me tonight at 7 following Charlie James for the Mark Levin Show, a News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
At my hometown of Augusta, Georgia, in the Masters, Sam Burns and Rory McIlroy are now in the clubhouse, both at 5 under in the first round of the Masters. Welcome back to the program. I know, I get it. Lots of frustration going on right now. Lots of frustration with the Department of Justice. Thankfully, Pam Bondi is there. Thankfully, Pam Bondi is gone. The new guy that they've got in there, I don't know if he's going to be a whole lot better. I hope he's not the permanent Attorney General. I hope we get somebody in there that's a real bulldog like Lee Zeldin. That would be a good choice. But there's frustration going on. And the main frustration, at least for me, is all of these radical judges trying to stop. Like I said, we don't live in a democracy. These days, we don't even really live in a republic. We live in a jurisdocracy where these judges, according to their own ideological beliefs, they decide whether something is right or wrong. Purely because they're either Republican or a Democrat. Now, mainly the Democrats. They've been the ones stopping at every single turn all of the Trump's policies. All of the Trump policies. They do that every single time. Their judges just lined up waiting, especially people like Boasberg. They're horrible. So when we heard that Planned Parenthood was going to lose their funding, I mean, we were very happy about that. Conservatives are like, yes. And we heard PBS and NPR, they were losing their funding. We're like, yes. The judge trying to stop that. So now there's a story that's kind of got a lot of people scratching their heads. The Department of Health and Human Services is restoring funding for Planned Parenthood. Yeah, John almost broke his neck. His head snapped so hard. What? Yes. HHS is restoring funding for Planned Parenthood. So according to the report, this isn't exactly a new decision. It's tied to existing Title X grants that were already locked in under the previous administration. But here's where it gets interesting and frustrating at the same time. So while HHS is letting the money flow to Planned Parenthood for now, they're promising a major overhaul of the program starting in 2027. The new guidance would explicitly say taxpayer dollars can't be used where abortion is a method of family planning. So what you've got here is a two-track message, all right? So first of all, short-term, funding continues. Long-term, we're going to fix it later. We're going to fix it later. You don't have to remind us every 6 months. We're going to fix it. And for a lot of people out there, that's just not good enough. Because this isn't some, obscure line item in a budget. This is about whether or not taxpayer dollars, your money, should go anywhere near the nation's largest abortion provider. Now, defenders inside the administration say, well, our hands are tied. These grants are part of a 5-year cycle, and that pulls them immediately, and pulling them could immediately trigger legal challenges, and they will, because you got all these liberal judges out there that are ready to go. We've seen the court step up time and time again. All right, maybe that's a fair argument. But here's the reality. We didn't vote for we'll fix it later. We didn't vote for we'll fix it in a couple of years. When you went to the polls, you expected immediate action, day one, not year 3. And let's be honest here. Republicans have run for decades on defunding Planned Parenthood. This is not a new campaign promise. This is part of the foundation. It's part of the base. So when the base sees that funding has been restored, even if it's temporarily, well, that feels like that's a gut punch. It's the old bait and switch there. So now, got to be fair here. the proposed overhaul that they're talking about does signal a shift in philosophy. HHS is talking about moving away from what they call an over-reliance on pharmaceutical and surgical approaches. We're talking about the abortion pill and the abortion itself, and towards natural family planning and body literacy. Now, that is a departure from the old status quo. But again, the question is all about timing. Why does change always have to come tomorrow? We look at the SAVE Act. Yeah, well, we'll do something later. Because in Washington, D.C., as we have learned, later often turns into never. And that's why a lot of people say this matters politically. If Republicans, House and Senate, in the administration, will not follow through on something as central as this, then exactly what are we supposed to believe? This is indeed a credibility test. And the people at HHS need to get in front of this, and they need to do a very good job explaining it to the American people. You don't campaign on defunding Planned Parenthood and then just keep funding it. So we'll see if that overhaul that was promised actually happens. And you can bet conservatives all over the United States, we're going to be watching. We're going to be watching that. And we're going to be watching it knowing the legal challenges that are coming ahead. But like I've said 100,000 times before, we want to see the fight. We don't care if you lose. We would rather you win. But we want to see the fight. I remember telling that to Mark Sanford. We want to see the fight. Don't just lay down and play dead. Show us that you're doing something. That's what we want. That's what we expect. That's what we voted for. We realize that you're going to lose a battle every now and then. We get that. We understand reality. But we want to see you in there punching and swinging and trying your very best to at least put up a fight, which is exactly what we haven't seen from the Senate. Right? You know, talk about the world champions of rollover and playing dead. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
When the left spins, Charlie sets it straight. It's the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9
WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie Speaks, you listen on your time. Get the show on demand. Text podcast to 800-905-0989. The Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Well, guess what? The Senate today convened, and then 30 minutes later they gavelled out and went home. This is something I don't get. I really don't. To me and to a lot of Americans out there, I feel like this is just a great way to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't do recess appointments. I said, that's exactly what I think. I believe that happens. And then they can make excuses all day long. This is a great chance so the president could get in there and put in some of his appointees and just let them go through. And then it's almost impossible to come along and say, no, you're not doing a good job. So yeah, it's just, it seems to be another stab in the back to the president. And here's the thing. They could be trying to pass the Save America Act. They could be trying to do this. I mean, after all, they did that the other night, middle of the night. They sent that ridiculous proposal over to the House. They could be trying to do that again. But they won't so-called bend the rules. Now, these are just rules. None of that stuff. None of it is set in stone. The Constitution doesn't even call for a Senate parliamentarian, which, by the way, Kevin McCarthy had the opportunity to get rid of and put a conservative Republican in there, but they didn't because, that's unheard of. John Thune had the same opportunity, but didn't because that's unheard of. And we don't want to bend the rules. We want to play by. Let me tell you something. The Republicans are using Marcus Queensberry rules in a street fight. And you are always going to lose that fight. They could have done away with the filibuster. Don't want to do away with the filibuster? At least do away with the zombie filibuster. Make them get up there and talk. I mean, after all, what have you done? And here's what you should have done. Is what I would have done. I would have said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get the votes. I'm going to be a leader. I'm going to lead. I'm going to get the whip. I'm going to make sure all of these people are in line. Yes, including Mitch McConnell. Yes, including Murkowski. You're going to get in line. And what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the zombie filibuster, where it takes 60 votes. Now, if you want to filibuster, you got to actually get out there and do it. And here's what I would have done. I would have done it right before the Easter holiday. Right before. When all these people, I would have waited until they all had their plane reservations, till they all had their hotels booked, wherever they were going on vacation right before spring break. I would have said, all right, we're going to do it right now. Oh, sorry, we're changing the calendar. We're going to do it right now. Oh, you want to leave? You want to go on vacation? Well, I recommend you talk fast. And then see how many Democrats stick around to do the filibuster. But he didn't do that. He didn't want to do it. And what is literally going to be the reward? The reward for this inaction is looking like it is going to be a Democrat-controlled House and Senate. Polymarkets are putting that at a 53% chance of a Democrat sweep in the midterms, a blue wave coming in the midterms. That's where we are right now. Because, number one, the Democrats, they're going to show up in force. They're going to show up for these races. The Republicans, non-presidential primary years, notoriously lackadaisical. No, even more than that, notoriously apathetic. It's voter apathy. Because you know what? They've got no heroes. They've got no heroes. As far as the Senate is concerned, you've got an army of lions led by a sheep. And what was the old saying? I would rather be in an army of sheep led by a lion than an army of lions led by a sheep. John Thune is a sheep. He has no power. If you can't get the votes that you need to pass this legislation among Republicans, you need to drop the name leader from your title. That's what needs to happen. But let's just let but then again, I do believe they're okay with losing it. I think John Thune, I think hopefully soon to be gone John Cornyn, I think maybe even Lindsey Graham would get, maybe even Tim Scott, would be completely okay as long as they keep their seats, as long as they've got their little committee appointments, they've got their power, they can still, operate in their circles. They don't care who's in charge. I will never forget the fist bump that Lindsey Graham gave Kamala Harris on the floor of the Senate. It was a fist bump after the election. There's video of that if you don't believe me. When we get back, you know how the government uses taxes to change behavior? Maybe we ought to flip that around on them. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Hey, this is Tara. Start your day with common sense information and opinion with me on The Tara Show tomorrow morning, starting at 6. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Hey, Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk. Charlie. Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
If you go back a couple of years, you might remember this. There was a little acronym out there. It was called the LGB community. The LGB, the lesbian, bis, lesbian, bi, and gay. That community. Well, then they had to change that because the trans community, they wanted to be included. So it was the LGBT community. There you go. So then these people, they kind of didn't have a problem with calling themselves queers. Okay, their word, not mine. Their word. So now, then it became LGBTQ. Okay. Then you had another group out there, and I don't know what the I stands for. Is it intersectional or something like that? What? Yeah. And then so it became LGB, then LGBT, LGBTQ, then LGBTQIA, then LGBTQIA plus. That's been hard to keep up with. It's been tough over the years to keep up with all of that. But if you thought it was tough for that one, well, they've made it even longer. Listen to this woman in the Canadian government. Here we go. Are you ready?
Deal with the ongoing genocide of MMIW G2SLGBTQQIA+. This is abhorrent.
I am, can you say that again?
Going genocide of MMIW G2SLGBTQQIA+.
Yeah. You're going to have to do that one more time.
Of MMIW G2SLGBTQQIA+.
Okay. So that's the new acronym. MMIWG2SLGBTQQIA+. MOUSE. These are grown people. These are grown people talking like that. By all accounts, these are educated people. What do you guys want to be called? Oh, I got an idea. And this is Canada, right? Hey, I got an idea, eh? Why don't we do MMIWG2SLGBTQQIA+, eh? Was that an A at the end, or was that like an A, Canadian A? Oh, whatever you want to put in there, eh? It'd be fine, eh? That's the most... John's exactly right. He said that's like when Google recommends one of those strong passwords, and you're like, there's no way I'm ever going to remember that. I'm not even going to write that down. MMIWG2SLGBTQQIA+. Yeah, just anything. Just anything. Could you I don't know, come up with a word. How about just a word? I know. Here's what we do. We'll call it the WIERDO +++. And just call them the weirdos. I mean, is that okay? Could we do that? How about the CRAZIES +++? The crazies. I don't know. But that's the dumbest thing. That is so childish. It really is. All right. Every time that we start to enjoy something, it seems like the government automatically has to tax it. It doesn't matter what it is. Got to tax. I mean, look at Virginia. Virginia, they're taxing everything. Everything. Why? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, if you enjoy it, they put a tax on it so they can enjoy it too, monetarily. And number two, one of the reasons that the government will tax you is to change your behavior. If they don't like you doing something, look at cigarettes. They didn't want you smoking, so they taxed the snot out of cigarettes. They just want anything out there. And they will try to change your behavior. Look at driving the speed limit. Look at the drinking age. They want to change behavior. But if you notice, they never change their behavior. So right now, I'm just kind of in the initial stages of looking for a truck. Okay? Kind of want to get a good deal, want to get, all of that. I'm not going to get new. I'm going to get, certified, pre-owned, all of that stuff. And I'm looking at the deals. Now, I could, if I wanted to, walk into a dealership and just buy a brand new truck today. I got the credit score. I can certainly pay cash for it right now and just go home in a brand new truck. But I like to live below my means. I don't want to spend every dollar that I have. But the government doesn't do that. Now, if you in your house, you were sitting down and you were, getting your monthly budget together, but you knew that all you had to do is tell somebody else to give you more money, and you would get more money, or that person would be in big trouble, right? So you've got an endless supply of cash coming in anytime you want it. Is that going to change their behavior? Do you think you would live below your means if you had a constant source of income? No, of course not. You would go butt wild, which is exactly what they do in Congress. I'm talking about Washington and especially Columbia. Columbia sees the taxpayers of South Carolina as an endless well that they can draw from. We need, and you can do something about this on June 9th, we need better representation in Columbia than we're getting right now. It's time for Columbia to start saying the words, we can't afford it. Oh, yeah, we might like to sponsor a lesbian podcast, but we just can't afford it. Instead of the government wanting us to change our behavior, it's time for them to change theirs. But in order for that to happen, you got to get up and you got to go out and you got to vote. June 9th is the primary. We'll be bringing you a lot of information between now and then on all of these candidates. But if you want change in South Carolina and in the federal government, you got to get out there and vote. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of breaking news and stimulating talk begins every hour on The Charlie James Show. Afternoons 3 to 7 on News Talk 98.9
WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
All right, welcome back to the program. Let's go to Esther in Powdersville. How you doing, Esther?
I'm doing real well, thank you.
All right, what's going on?
I want to ask, when Ralph Norman talks about this automatic pay raise, is he talking about the South Carolina people or the United States people?
Well, I think he's talking about both, but I think primarily since he's running for governor, he's talking about our state legislature trying to give themselves a pay raise, which they don't deserve.
How long has he been in the United States Congress?
It's been a while, been a minute.
Uh-huh. And how long have they been getting an automatic pay raise?
I think they have to vote themselves a pay raise, but again, I understand your point, but it what now wait a minute, hold on, because I mean I understand that maybe they get like a cost of living increase or something like that, and that should maybe be written into law. But for them to do it the way they did it, sneak in one in a bill without, any real debate or anything like that, the way they did it was kind of dishonest.
But didn't the United States congressman, didn't they do that with John Boehner was the Speaker of the House?
Oh, my goodness. You're talking about years ago. Probably, yeah.
I know, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see.
People were complaining.
Well, let me ask you something, Esther. Who are you leaning towards for governor?
Well, I don't know, but it ain't going to be a Democrat.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Esther. I appreciate you calling. Of course, we got all of those governors debates. Now, one governor that is not having a good time is Abigail Spanberger, because the people of Virginia have realized that she is a disaster. Day one of her administration, she came in and she proposed, and their state legislature proposed 50 new taxes. 50 new taxes. I mean, if you can think of it, they want to tax it. And now they're finding out that Abigail Spanberger is set to sign legislation that would reserve, listen to this, 50% of all state contracts for minority-owned businesses, and it blocks white males from receiving any state contracts under $100,000. That's why this woman, Abigail Spanberger, now listen, voters, I'm not even talking about the Democrats, voters in general need to pay attention to two places, Virginia and New York. You've already seen what Baltimore is like. You've already seen what Chicago's like. You've already seen, what Minneapolis is like and places like that. But Virginia and New York, particularly New York City, look at what that place is like. Same thing going on there. Mondani wants to give government contracts primarily to minority businesses. And he's got a plan he literally wants to tax white people more than persons of color. I don't know about you, but I could have swore that was illegal. I would have swore on a stack that was illegal. So, but they got to y'all got to watch that. Got to watch that. This woman's got the lowest approval rating of any Virginia governor in the 21st century. And what was her response? Well, they still put my face on the mailers, don't they? Okay. They're everywhere you go. And I don't understand how Democrats, you have to literally be a special kind of stupid to vote like that. And speaking of that, let's take a listen to one of Abigail Spanberger's this was right before the election. Are you ready? Here we go.
You're a Spanberger supporter. What about her agenda did you really like?
I'm really interested in seeing how we can improve women's rights. We need to get those back reinstated.
I asked on this program, I think it was the week before last, Tell me one right that you've lost under the Trump administration. Tell me one right that you've lost. None. Zero. You've lost none. In Virginia, women have lost no rights. No. Oh, the right to an abortion? That's not a right. That is not a right. Roe v. Wade was not even, did you know this? A lot of people don't even know this. Roe v. Wade wasn't even about abortion. Roe v. Wade was about the right to privacy, which I don't remember privacy being mentioned in the Constitution. But there we go. So they get up there and they get all ginned up about these issues that really aren't even issues. Remember what I said about you don't need a mine for a minefield? You don't even have to have a mine there. You just tell people there are mines there, and people go, I'm not walking in that field. No way I'm doing that. It's the same way. It is literally the minefield philosophy of the Democrats. You throw these ridiculous things out there, and it doesn't matter if they're real or not. Perception is reality, and people perceive them as being real. Oh, they're trying to take away our rights. I better vote against them. Oh, these people want to protect our rights. I better vote for them. Never once doing any research, never once ever looking into the issue to find out what it's really all about. And even if you do, you've got the mainstream media out there continuing on with the whole minefield philosophy. That's just what they do. And they always do it. So when we get back, the worst thing that the GOP could do seems to be exactly what they're doing. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Chat with Charlie.
800-905-0989. Save it on your phone.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Somebody please never tell the Republicans what the worst thing they can do is. Because I will almost guarantee you they're going to get out there and do it. So there's an issue right now, could be the worst political move that any party's ever done moving into the midterms. But the Republicans going to do it anyway. There's some Republicans out there right now promoting what is called the Bipartisan Immigration Reform Act. But when you actually look at the text of the act, it is called the Dignidad Act, or Dignidad, which means dignity in Spanish. We've got a bill in the United States House of Representatives with a Spanish title. First of all, let that sink in for a minute. So, what do they really want? Well, all of that's in the fine print. Because what bills like this actually do, despite all the marketing that's going on by Maria Salazar, it will allow millions of people who entered this country illegally to stay here permanently. And you can put as much lipstick on that pig as you want to, but it's still amnesty. And here's the reality. We did not vote to send Republicans to Washington to blur the lines between legal and illegal immigration. We sent you there to restore the rule of law and to secure the border. Now, you cannot claim to be the party of borders while supporting policies that erase them. There's no middle ground here. Either we are a nation of laws or we're not. This is exactly how you demoralize your base heading into an election. You want to suppress voter turnout? This is how you do it. You want to lose? This is how you do it. If Republicans want to hand Democrats a huge gift in 2026, keep pushing this amnesty BS. Just put it under a different name. Dignidad Act. Amazing. So what does this bill actually say? It's full of, well, first of all, let's go to Maria Salazar, because she's denying that this is amnesty.
We give them dignity. At some point in the future, another legislator will write another law to give them path to citizenship. Right now, what we need to do is to buy peace for these people, allow them to stay, to continue working, because they are needed. You see, what I'm trying to do is to bring some common sense, which is the least common of all senses, to this conversation. The economy needs them. They do not have a criminal record. They have not gone into trouble. They have been here for a long time. They have roots in the country. Let them stay. Don't give them any type of federal programs. And allow them to pay taxes, help the Social Security Fund.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's funny. She said then another legislature will come along and give them a path to citizenship. Well, why would you allow that legislator to do that? That is the ultimate goal. The people that came here illegally, people like Maria Salazar, want them to have a path to citizenship. It's like me breaking into Augusta National and Fred Ridley saying, no, let's forgive him. Let's let him play. And that way it'll lead to a path to a full membership here at Augusta. No, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. The first thing they did when they crossed this border was break American law. And they knew they were doing it. They were absolutely certain of that. That's why they snuck across. They knew they were doing something illegal. But this bill, amazing. With respect to aliens who were removed or departed, notice they don't say deported, departed the United States on or after January 20th, 2017. The Secretary may, as a matter of discretion, waive the physical presence requirement and shall establish a procedure for such aliens to apply for relief under section blah, blah, blah from the United States if they would have been eligible for relief under the section but for the removal or departure. So if you were here, to listen to this, if you were here after January 20th of 2017 and you left the United States, you can still apply for the Dignity Act. And here's the thing, you don't even have to show up. You can stay there and apply for it. But, oh, you think that's bad. It gets even worse. It even does away, listen to this, it does away, it puts a hold on deportations. Yeah, oh, lots of devils in these details. Lots of devils in these details. So, and again, but the fact that it's called the Dignidad Act, shut up. That is unbelievable. It really is. That they would even think that that's a good idea. And they're out there supporting it. They're supporting this mess. Well, some Republicans are. Again, if you just want to give them, and listen to this. You think it's bad now. The Dignity Act. So if you're looking at somebody about whether or not they qualify for the Dignity Act, you might want to look at that and say, wait a minute, hold on. I see you were a member of a gang. Yeah, you were a member of a gang. The Dignity Act would ban the use of gang membership databases from state and federal sources for the purpose of determining eligibility for the Dignity Visa. So if they were looking at you can't even check to see if they were affiliated with a gang. Tell me how this makes sense. The only way it makes sense is that these Republicans want to lose the midterms. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Breaking news and what to make of it all with me, Mike Gallagher, tomorrow 10 to noon, right after Tara on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Interact on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. Text or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, welcome back to the program. I had several people over on the text line say, Charlie, tell us who the sponsors are. Well, the sponsor is Maria Salazar, but there's a lot of co-sponsors here. Good gracious. Republicans. These are the Republican co-sponsors. Listen to this. Don Bacon, James Baird, Monica De La Cruz, Mario Diaz-Balart, Neil Dunn, Gabe Evans, Brian Fitzpatrick, Mike Kelly, Jennifer Kiggins, Young Kim, Kimberlyn King Hines, Nicola Lotta, Michael Lawler, James Moylan, Dan Newhouse, Zach Nunn, Lloyd Smucker, Marlon Stutzman, David Valado. Thankfully, nobody from South Carolina is on that list. And I hope every single one of them gets primaried. I really do. A bill like this, and again, I'll go back and say it, we either have a border or we don't. We either have laws or we don't. And they want to blur the lines between law and order, between borders and open borders. President Trump has worked his butt off to close our borders to a historic low. I told you last night. I mean, you saw those pictures at Brownsville. You saw those pictures of Eagle Pass. You saw them. I mean, Yuma, I was down there myself. Those crowds, those throngs of people are gone now. They're gone. So what a great way. What a great way to just slap your base right in the face. The reason we sent half these people to Congress was to shut our borders down. That was the number one issue of the last campaign. Número uno in Espanol, as long as we're talking about that, is number one. It was the main issue that people were worried about. And they're trying to throw it away. I don't get it. I really don't get it. So we'll see what happens with that. Well, the war in Iran continues, although we are supposedly have a bit of a peace deal. Are we going to see this war coming to an end? Let's take a listen to this from Fox News.
Good afternoon. A significant development today as Israel's prime minister announced talks are scheduled with Lebanon. The prime minister said in a statement, quote, "In light of Lebanon's repeated request to open direct negotiations with Israel, I instructed the cabinet yesterday to begin direct negotiations with Lebanon as soon as possible. The negotiations will focus on the disarmament of Hezbollah and the regulation of peaceful relations between Israel and Lebanon. Israel appreciates the call made today by the Prime Minister of Lebanon to demilitarize Beirut. This does come after Israel launched a series of strikes yesterday targeting Hezbollah across the country, and earlier a new warning by Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian about these Israeli strikes in Lebanon that said in part, quote, "The continuation of these aggressions will render negotiations meaningless. Our hands will remain on the trigger, and Iran will never abandon its Lebanese brothers and sisters." International focus does remain on the Strait of Hormuz, where reports indicate 8 vessels have passed since the ceasefire began. Iran's deputy foreign minister says the strait is open, adding this today.
Those technical restrictions are very much connected to the wartime condition, and it takes time to be removed. So safe passage is secured. Strait of Hormuz is open, but of course, each tankers and each vessel should make necessary arrangements with the Iranian authorities to be able to securely pass the strait.
A lot of details to be worked out this weekend. Vice President J.D. Vance will be joined by Special Envoys Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff in Islamabad, Pakistan, to talk directly with the Iranians.
All right, so we will see how that goes. A lot of people are saying there's no way Iran's going to break this deal. I kind of think Iran's going to break this deal as well. But let's see what happens. Now you got J.D. Vance, you got Witkoff, you got Jared Kushner. They're over there in Pakistan. They're going to be talking with the Iranians. Let's see what happens. Now, I'm pretty sure, what were we talking about, during the Reagan administration, back during the Cold War? trust but verify. We need to make sure that they don't have nuclear weapons, that they have limited ballistic capabilities, that they're not spinning down uranium for nuclear weapons purposes. And this is a country that's rich in oil. Why do they even need? See, it's all been a big lie. They're rich in oil, but yet they claim they need nuclear power. Yeah, I'm not buying that one. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Get breaking news sent straight to your phone for free. Download the Odyssey app. Follow News Talk 98.9 WORD. Stay in the know with the voice of the Carolinas.
Hey, Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk. Charlie. Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, welcome back to the program. Let's go to the WORD talk line. We'll talk to Billy in Greer. How you doing, Billy?
I'm doing pretty good. Just a couple points here about the Iranians with the nuclear. Is the world and the U.S. has offered to give Iran nuclear material to run power plants.
Right.
Well, here's the second part. Is GE Greenville right here, gas turbines.
Yeah.
They can run a gas turbine straight off the crude oil coming out of the ground.
Yeah.
All it's got to do is be superheated, and it'll inject right in a gas turbine. That's what Saudi Arabia, all these other countries that GE has sent turbines to. I worked for them for 28 years.
Yeah. It was all just a ruse. It was all just an excuse to try to get the nuclear material, spin it down to weapons grade, and make those bombs. That's all they wanted to do.
And they're gonna have that now, that the U.S. should not be able to tell them that they can't have it, and the IAE, or whichever one that is, the International Atomic Energy, that keeps track of them. So this is going to fall apart.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I appreciate it, Billy. Well, you heard at the top of the hour news that Hakeem Jeffries, and I think they'll be able to do it. If this thing drags out and Donald Trump has to go to Congress for congressional approval to continue the actions in Iran, I think the Democrats are going to stop him. I really do. I think the Democrats are going to have enough votes to stop the president. Because you got enough. I mean, all you got to do, look at those Republicans that are sponsoring the Dignity Act. I mean, think about that. This is where they're going to say, aha, now I got the power. Now we got the power. That's all man, they live for that. Let's go to Chuck in Mills River. Chuck, welcome, buddy.
Man, I was going to talk about that what you were just talking about, however you pronounce it in Spanish, man. The
Dignidad.
Going to give
Yeah.
Dignidad. Yeah, there's no dignity in thievery, man. Yeah. I don't want to talk about that because it'll just make me mad.
I got it.
You don't want me mad.
I understand.
But something else that made me mad, but I am going to talk about for a moment, is who asked Mike Pence what the hell he thought? Mike Pence is telling J.D. Vance, well, don't do what Obama did and give him some nuclear stuff. Oh, man, he needs to just...
What? Who rattled his chain?
Let me
tell you something.
What happens when I get mad, man?
Americans did not care about Mike Pence before he was elected vice president. They didn't care about Mike Pence when he was vice president. And they didn't care about
right.
Mike Pence when he was not vice president. Nobody has ever, except for Mike Pence's mama, nobody's ever cared 2 hoots about Mike Pence.
He's like powdered toast, man, dude. He
is.
He's just milk toast at best. But the real reason I was calling, man, is you were talking about the Ukrainian girl, her murderer getting ready to walk, man.
Yeah.
After what you said was 14
convictions. Yeah, 3 of them felonies.
That's only 3. Well, that's why he's trying. That was oh God, man. If this goes down like it does, man, there's going to be riots in the street. I think. I don't know. I could be wrong. It is Charlotte, and there's only one Republican, much like Asheville, which is where I was going to compare to Charlotte. Charlotte, unlike Asheville, who is $30 million in the hole, and they can't account for 1 penny of it. And the next person that says, "Oh, well, they went through Helene," you can't expect them to count keep track of all that money. It's like, man, I lost a bunch of money too in Helene. You've seen my yard. I'm trying to pay a fella $3,000 to finish cleaning up my yard and seed it with grass so it doesn't wash all down the hill. And you know what? I can account for every friggin' penny.
Yeah.
Every single shiny penny. And okay, so it's not $30 million. If it was, I'd be mad at my wife or myself, one of the two.
Yeah.
But if you look at what's going on in Asheville right now, I've been looking at the Asheville Police Department on social media, and there's a whole bunch of we love Asheville and Asheville politics and stuff. And even though we don't live in Asheville, what happens in Asheville directly affects us because we're basically right outside of Asheville here in Mills River.
Yeah.
We're in Hendersonville, praise the Lord.
Yeah.
But there's so many people. I can't tell you how many restaurant owners have said, can we get more police patrols coming by here because we've got people breaking our windows, we've got people stealing stuff, we got homeless people, puking and doing other things in front of our businesses. And I can tell you, I've been through downtown Asheville recently, and when I was there last time, I saw needles and paraphernalia laying around on steps and stuff.
That's right.
That's coming to a place in Asheville, and it's going to get worse because $30 million. And again, they're acting like, well, it's no big deal. We're just going to raise taxes.
Exactly. Well, that's what they do. They can spend, and then when they're in the hole, they say, well, just raise your taxes.
Well, I'm wondering if they spent it or pocketed it.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of both.
If it's unaccounted for, then it's unaccounted for. It could have easily gone into someone's pocket. It could have been payola. It could have been, you name it. It could have been, quid pro quo. But, Asheville doesn't have, the light rail system like Charlotte does.
Yeah.
They'd probably love that. But Asheville wastes so much money on a day-to-day basis, never mind after Helene.
Yeah.
But it's going to turn into – it's a small city. It's got that small city charm, and that's one of the things everybody likes it. But there is a bar for every man, woman, and child.
That is true.
That
is the absolute truth. I remember Asheville had a mayor a long time ago called it a dirty little cesspool.
Oh, that wasn't the mayor. That was a state senator.
Oh, was it?
A state representative. And man, such backlash you've never seen.
I'll bet.
It was every bit as big as the bathroom bill.
But was he wrong?
No.
No.
Absolutely
not. Not at all.
Not at all. I know liberals that are afraid to go downtown Asheville. I'm not kidding, man.
Yeah.
I'm not lying. Because they've had some issues down there. But my problem with Asheville right now is the overflow in the outlying areas. What happens in Asheville eventually spills over into the counties surrounding it. There's just no way around it. Similar to Greenville. Greenville has that sort of thing. But if you want to do something in Asheville, you better go packing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go into Asheville. I'd rather carry a rifle than my pistol. But it's going to turn into another Charlotte if you don't watch out. But Charlotte has a balanced budget. I did not know this. I looked it up because I thought for sure if we were $30 million in debt, Charlotte, dear God, they're probably $1 billion. No, they are not. They have I think it was a $3.6 billion budget because it's Charlotte and it's huge. But right now, our small town charm is being eroded by big city activities.
Yeah,
and
everybody
is
experiencing that. Everybody.
But if they let this fella walk, man, there should be some kind of comeuppance.
Yeah.
Because this is not just simply the fact that.
Well, luckily, Chuck, and I gotta cut this a little short. Luckily, the feds still have a case against them. So the federal government can still go after them. All right, buddy, I appreciate it. Got to hit a break here. When we get back, I got another story coming out of Mooresville, North Carolina. It's got to do with the Mooresville mayor. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of breaking news and stimulating talk begins every hour, every afternoon on The Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie Speaks. You listen on your time. Get the show on demand. Text podcast to 800-905-0989. The Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Well, kind of speaking of North Carolina, got some dear friends that live up in Mooresville. I can't wait to talk to them about this story. The mayor of Mooresville, his name is Chris Carney. And he's kind of had a lot more of the spotlight shown on him than he really wants after there was an incident that was caught on surveillance video inside the town hall. Now, this happened back in 2024. So according to an IT employee, the guy that reported this, Carney allegedly, got to say that, allegedly entered the town hall with a woman described as a town communications consultant. The IT employee said that footage showed Carney walking through the building without pants. This is a mayor. This is a mayor of Mooresville walking through town hall without his britches on. Now, this has led to 3 lawsuits, including 3 lawsuits against the town, one with the IT employee claiming that he was terminated after he was accused of leaking information, another IT employee who alleged in the lawsuit that Carney was, listen to this, in a state of partial or complete undress and arousal inside the town hall, said he was forced out of his position when he refused to suppress electronic records. A third lawsuit was filed against the town by an assistant police chief who was forced into early retirement after raising concerns about the incident and a separate traffic stop involving the mayor. So here we are, about a year and a half later. The allegations against Carney are prompting some Mooresville commissioners to take action. Carney says that he is going to serve out the remaining 19 months left in his term. He said, you got to, this is what Carney said, you got to remember, this is 2024. It's been so long ago. I was fighting through a lot of stuff at that time. Oh, let me tell you something, Mayor Carney. I've fought through a lot of stuff in my life. I never walked naked through work. It never occurred to me. I got an idea. I'm going through a hard time now. I'm going to go get me a little Paramore. And come up, no. Dana Tucker, a Mooresville commissioner, said the board may find other ways to push Carney's resignation. There are further actions that the board can take to continue to communicate to him that we stand behind the resolution, but I don't feel like it's an appropriate comment on what those actions are at the time. So there you go. Carney claimed that the town commissioners hired a complete independent group to look into retaliation lawsuits, which resulted in a report that says it just never happened. Yeah, whatever. So there's old Carney walking around in an aroused state. I don't even know what this guy looks like. There's a picture. I don't know. I have no idea let me just check and see what old Chris Carney looks like. Let's see here. Chris, that is nobody you want to see in that state. I'm just going to tell you this. There are some people, you'd be like, okay, but this guy, no. Sorry, Chris Carney, mayor of Mooresville. Sorry about that. So anyway, all right. Do you remember a woman by the name of Melissa Halverson? We told you about her last night, Melissa Halverson. Now, when we had that missing pilot, Melissa Halverson put out this video. Here we go.
When you're at war with somebody, guess what that other country does? Exactly what they've been doing through history all this time, right? You take them hostage and you use them for leverage. So guess what Iran did? They put a bounty out on his head, and whoever finds him gets a great award. I can't wait. Hopefully it's like money or jewels. I hope the person who finds him is very poor and ends up being very wealthy. And I hope Iran holds their promise.
So that was Melissa Halverson. Melissa Halverson was worked at the Green Apple Pantry. Notice I said she worked at the Green Apple Pantry. She no longer works there. No longer works there. She's been fired from her administrative assistant position at Green Apple Pantry. She's since deleted her TikTok account. The company said in a statement, the views expressed in a former employee's social media post are solely those of the individual and do not reflect the beliefs, principles, or missions of Green Apple Pantry. We have zero tolerance for hateful or discriminatory behavior in any form. We remain dedicated to serving our community with integrity, respect, and care, and we appreciate your continued support and trust. Well, there's old Melissa Halverson. So, see, some things do have happy endings, don't they? Sorry, Melissa. See, when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Melissa Halverson showed the nation and her employer exactly who she really was. And for that, she is now looking for another position. I wonder how long it'll be before she's able to find gainful employment again. I don't know. Well, she's deleted her TikTok account, but a simple Google search ought to warn any potential employers out there. So remember those people that you were talking about being extremely poor, Melissa Halverson? Maybe you're going to be able to really understand their plight now. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show, News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Streaming stimulating talk and breaking news on your phone 24/7 on the Odyssey app. You're on the drive with the Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Let your fingers do the talking.
Text the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line at 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, let's go to the WORD talk line. We'll talk to Christina, who wants to talk about a story that's got me kind of scratching my head as well. Christina, welcome. How are you?
Oh, I'm okay.
All right. What's up?
And I have to apologize. I was going for an hour to a class at the Y, but before at 3:30 and at 4 and at 4:30, I heard Stacey Bartow reading the news.
Yeah.
And she said Piedmont Natural Gas has applied for a rate increase.
Yes.
And this is the bald-faced lie. And she said, and they haven't had a rate increase since 2022.
That's what they say.
That is a bald-faced lie. From November 5th to December 4th, my bill was $63. From December 5th to January, 4th, it went to $115 for, I think it was, and so I called them up and I said, I want somebody to come out here and I want to be there when they read the meter. And they said, no, don't you know? We had a rate increase from $1.15 per therm to $1.54. $1.50, one fell swoop. So that was a huge rate increase.
Yeah.
Like I said, from $63 to $115. So it is a bald-faced lie that they haven't had an increase since 2022.
Yeah, anybody else out there with Piedmont have seen their rates go up since 2022. But here's the thing, here's what gets me. They want to do this, they say, that you need to pay higher rates to help the utility pay for recent capital investments.
Well, and of course they're doing those data centers. And
Yeah.
as you know, Piedmont Natural Gas is owned
By Duke.
Duke Energy.
Yep.
So
And Duke Energy they also got approved for a rate increase because they wanted to build a major new power plant. So it's like, give us more money so we can build this and make more money.
yes, and they just when they're the only game in town,
Yeah.
they can lie and lie and lie to you.
Yeah.
So some congressman was going to introduce a bill that these data centers, they would only grant them a license if they agreed to unilaterally produce their own power. So, but that might not happen in my lifetime. But
Yeah.
anyway, I just wanted bless her heart, Stacey Bartow, when she reads that, to know it is an absolute bald-faced lie.
All right, Christina, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And again, we need you to pay for, we're going to build. That's literally like a restaurant going, you know what we're doing? We're going to build another restaurant. So we're going to raise the price of our food. So we can just go make, it's unbelievable. It really is. Let's go to Henry in Hendersonville. How you doing, Henry?
Hey, I'm well, thank you. It's a
All right.
beautiful day up here in God's country.
Yes, sir. What's going on?
I want to pose a question. I haven't heard anybody else ask or mention. It just hit me today. So we have Iran over there firing missiles all over the Middle East,
Yeah.
attacking every country around them. I did a quick little search. Saudi Arabia has 40,000 people in their Air Force and 1,100 planes. Qatar has 274 high-tech U.S.-made jets. UAE has 4,000 people in their Air Force, and et cetera. And I'm just wondering, where are their Air Forces? Where's their participation? They're all being shelled and rocket attacked and missiles fired at them. Why aren't they helping out with back?
It's kind of like what I've heard is this. You guys do that one more time, and we're going to get involved, and you don't want that to happen. But there's been no action.
Yeah.
We're in this thing alone, which is amazing. It really is. Well, we've got Israel on our side, but other than that, I mean, the people that are really invested in this, like you said, all of those neighboring nations, they need to pony up here.
Well, yeah, they're being attacked.
Yeah.
Why aren't they responding?
Exactly, because like they always do, they depend on us to defend them. I appreciate it, Henry. So the next time they come to us and say, we would like to buy some of your jet planes. Why? Why do you want to buy some of our jets? You had an opportunity to use them, and you didn't. We promise we will do them this time. No, you won't. No, you won't. Shut up. All right, something happened today at the White House. And a lot of people went like, what is all that about? Melania Trump gave a statement, several statements, at the White House today. I want you to listen to this part of her statement. Here we go.
With the disgraceful Jeffrey Epstein need to end today. The individuals lying about me are devoid of ethical standards, humility, and respect. I do not object to their ignorance, but rather I reject their mean-spirited attempts to defame my reputation. I never been friends with Epstein. Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since overlapping in social circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach. To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell. My email reply to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more than casual correspondence. My polite reply to her email doesn't amount to anything more than a trivial note.
Okay, so this kind of came out of nowhere today. People were like, why is she even giving that statement? But then she went on to say this, and this is pretty interesting. Here we go.
Now is the time for Congress to act. Epstein was not alone. Several prominent male executives resigned from their powerful positions after this matter became widely politicized. Of course, this doesn't amount to guilt, but we still must work openly and transparently to uncover the truth. I call on Congress to provide the women who have been victimized by Epstein with a public hearing specifically centered around the survivors.
Okay, so she said that today. So why did she make that comment? I believe that the White House was getting ahead of something. Watch for that something to happen tomorrow. I would say between 2:30 and getting off time right around 5 o'clock. That's when a lot of times these people will drop a bomb. They'll drop a bomb. That's all the news will talk about all weekend long. Everybody's going to be busy over the weekend. Nobody's actually going to do any research. Nobody's going to be, looking all of this up. They're going to drop the bomb. Some accusation about Melania Trump and Epstein will probably happen tomorrow. Of course, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of nonstop breaking news and stimulating talk kicks off every hour
on the Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9
WORD,
the voice of the Carolinas. text or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Over on Truth Social, President Trump put out a statement here. When did he do this? Exactly. Let's see. It was about 22 minutes ago. Iran is doing a very poor job, dishonorable, some would say, of allowing oil to go through the Strait of Hormuz. This is not the agreement we have, President Donald J. Trump. And earlier he tweeted out, or truthed out, I guess, this. Let me see if I can find it. There are reports that Iran is charging fees to tankers going through the Hormuz Strait. They better not be. And if they are, they better stop now. Good for you. Good for you. So we've all heard about these stories that, all about the agreement, the peace deal, the ceasefire deal that was brokered through Pakistan. We heard all these stories about this. But they're not true. They're absolutely not true. That Iranian 10-point plan that everybody is being, told about, that's not the deal. CNN was reporting this. Even Fox News reported on this. And the deal is nothing that I don't even know. I don't even know if anybody knows the actual stipulations of the deal. Well, we've got J.D. Vance, we've got Witkoff, we've got Jared Kushner going over there, and they know what the deal is. Listen to this. Nope, that's not it. Anyway, we'll find out. But if Iran keeps on doing this, they're going to be, well, let's put it this way. Charlie is from the text line. Charlie, I'm confused. Why do the Iranians have the power to let oil go through the strait, and why are we asking them to open it up? That's BS. We have control of all that, don't we? Yes and no. Yes and no. But we've kind of used this analogy several times during the show today. If somebody told you that there were mines in a field, would you cross that field? Would you walk across that field? No. There does not have to be actual mines in the Strait of Hormuz for these companies, because you got to remember, not only does that oil that's in those tankers cost a lot of money, those ships cost a lot of money. So they're not moving. They're not moving. Now, they are allowing some people through, but it's a whole big rigmarole, and it's a lot more complicated than anybody believes. So what they need to do is make sure that everybody gets to go through. And they're just not doing that right now. So, again, we'll see what Witkoff and Kushner and J.D. Vance can actually do this weekend. But I'm kind of not getting a good feeling from Iran about this. But then again, why should we? Literally, why should we? They've lied about everything. Every single thing. Let's listen to this. This is from the White House. This is Pete Hegseth.
Iran has been a threat to the United States and the free world for 47 years. Chants of death to America, targeting our people, killing Americans, lying and blackmailing their way toward a nuclear weapon, so they thought. No longer. Not on our watch. Other presidents marked time and kicked the can down the road. President Trump made history. From the strike that took out Qasem Soleimani, to tearing up the disastrous Obama-Iran deal, to the precision campaign that obliterated Iran's nuclear sites in Operation Midnight Hammer.
Okay, so as he goes on to talk about that 10-point deal, and that was not the deal. That's the deal that President Trump literally crumpled up and threw in the trash. But these people, even Fox News, like I said, they came out and they said, this is the plan, but it wasn't. That's what happens when you listen to the communications of people like Iran. You get really, really bad information. Now, listen, folks, I know it's been a long week. It's been a long week for me, too. We were all amped up the other night thinking that we were going to bomb Iran. There was some relief, some, hesitation about not bombing them the other night. But I got one more day to go, and the weekend will be here, and we're certainly going to enjoy that. So y'all make sure that you do that. And, again, look for that news about Melania Trump coming up tomorrow. Somebody's going to try to pull a fast one over in the media. Can't wait to find out who it is. That will happen. We'll see you tomorrow. Y'all have a lovely, lovely evening. As always, God bless. Buckle up. Bye, y'all.